Hello and welcome to Monkey Business. This is Monkey Business for May 13th, 2013. And in today's afternoon coffee newser, we have Yum Brands, which owns fast food brands Kentucky Fried Chicken or KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell, reports in a recent filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC that April 2013 same-store sales declined an estimated 29% for the China division. Publicity surrounding outbreaks of avian flu in China is cited for negative impact on KFC sales. The company says it anticipated the potential impact on sales due to consumer health concerns. Fast food company McDonald's Corporation also noted that April 2013 comparable store sales declined 2.9%, reflecting the impact of avian influenza primarily in China. The company saw softer results in Japan and Australia as well. For more details on either story, just browse the links in the info box. In earnings news, chipmaker NVIDIA reports first quarter revenue of $954.7 million, up from $924.9 million in the same quarter a year prior. Analysts were expecting revenue of $941 million for the quarter, according to data firm Thomson Reuters. NVIDIA's products include Tegra, a system-on-a-chip or SoC series for mobile devices. Lastly, investment research firm Morningstar releases numbers on which stocks investors are researching the most heavily. Morningstar reports on their 25 most viewed stock mutual fund and exchange-traded fund reports in April 2013. The top 5 most viewed stocks, according to the firm, were tech companies Apple and Intel, oil and gas equipment and services firm National Oilwell Varco, industrial and consumer goods manufacturer General Electric, and healthcare and consumer products manufacturer Johnson & Johnson. And companies that made it into the top 10 investor searches were ExxonMobil, Suncor Energy, industrial goods manufacturer Caterpillar, tech company Cisco Systems, and industrial metals exploration and production firm BHP Billiton. Companies in the top 25 on the Morningstar investor search list included financial services firms Wells Fargo and Western Union, consumer goods behemoth Coca-Cola, telecom services company France Telecom, and China's internet search giant Baidu. To see what other stocks investors are researching, as well as Morningstar's listing of most viewed mutual funds and exchange-traded funds, just check the link in the info box. And now over to Marcel for Nearly News. Take it away, Marcel!
For today's Millionaire report, I think we'll take a look at the over-top lifestyle of a mysterious millionaire. One of the movies making a solid shot at the box office in recent days, The Great Gatsby trailer shown above. The period drama based on a novel and set in the wrong 20s took in $19.4 million on its opening day, May 10, 2013, putting the film on course to take in some $50 million plus for the weekend at the box office, according to box office reporting site Box Office Mojo. That on production cost of $104.5 million, so pas mal. For a film out barely a week after the latest Hollywood blockbuster, Iron Man 3 or something or other. This book-to-film 3D movie set in the 20s featuring prominent product placement. And the occasional hip-hop track. For whatever reason. Maybe it seemed like a good idea at the time, who can say, but anyway, it's in there too. Let me set the stage. A tale of excess featuring a cast of characters enmeshed in various love complications. Let's see now. There's Gatsby, Daisy, Tom, Myrtle. Who was there now? There was Gatsby, Tom, Daisy, Myrtle, George. I can't even keep up with all these love complications. I need a flowchart. Anyway, whoever's there they are. A few extravagant people. But it's primarily a cautionary lesson on how money can't buy happiness. That's how you know it's fiction. And here we have an interesting look at the modern cost of how much it would take to live like Gatsby today. To see a just for fun report from my voucher codes in the UK. The promise, how much would it cost today to be the luxury-loving, sentimental and eccentric Gatsby? A lot. So, let's have a look, old sport. Let's see, what do we need to add to this recipe of luxury, decadence, money, and madness? 1. A mansion. According to my voucher codes feature, modern-day mansion on the Gold Coast of Long Island, New York, in the US, could average between 10 million to 15 million US dollars. Actually, 2 Gold Coast mansions were offered on the market back in 2010 for 30 million and 39 million US dollars. But since the recession has hit many things hard, including the real estate market, even great estates then go on the market at reduced prices. So the text in the My Voucher Code feature says 10 to 15 million US dollars, while the infographic says 30 million. A puzzle. But, well, since it's only for fun, if we assume Gatsby would err on the side of extravagance and not count the cost, then bien, 30 million it is. At least it is if it's going to match the infographic. Incidentally, Land's End, nicknamed the Gatsby House, came to a sad end, much like the Great Gap. Oh, is that a spoiler? Never mind. You can find out the fate of Land's End in the info box if you like. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. What else do we need in this recipe for living life as a modern-day Gatsby? A party! Where everyone into the pool, the pools, and some spiffy-looking dads, comme ça, voilà. So it's from Brooks Brothers, one for each day of the week, $470,610 US dollars. Here we have a clip courtesy of Brooks Brothers. Their clothing appears, of course, in The Great Gatsby. And the company has also developed a Great Gatsby clothing line, including a striped regatta blazer for $798 US dollars, and a full tux ensemble, which, including black patterned lace-ups and gold-plated onyx cufflinks, would cost $2,209 US dollars. So there we are, on to the next item then. Ah, and a plane. I agree. 2 million to be spent on your own personal hydroplane to hop and skip and jump to visit the neighbors, as you do. And that's not even including the cost of a Rolls Royce, motorboats, gardener, household staff, and lots of, booze. French 75, sidecars, Bisoniers, Southside, Sazerac, Dubonnaire cocktails, everybody wants some. Excuse me. Just a glass of champagne for me, merci. I'm a fellow of simple tastes. After running the numbers on being the Great Gatsby, my voucher codes came up with a ballpark figure of some 22 million pounds sterling, or about 34 million US dollars. Although, by the way, the figure in the infographic on household staff at 100,000 US dollars for age 7 also seems a little off. Combining data from the Houston Chronicle and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics on salaries for workers in the personal care profession, the average per annum seems to run between roughly 20,000 to 40,000 US dollars per year. Times 8, let's say that's a total expense of 160,000 to 320,000 US dollars per year. But that's hardly 800,000 as shown in the infographic for how much would it cost to be the Great Gatsby. Unless we're assuming that Gatsby doesn't care absolutely all about throwing money to the wind and then, dancing on it. So take that 34 million US dollars figure with a few grains of salt. Maybe along the rim of a chilled margarita glass because it's that kind of charming day here on the grounds of this lovely estate. Also of interest. A different take on the question from New York Magazine. The writer mans the novel for details and comes up with a ballpark estimate based on the value of 1920s dollars. And what they could buy. The writer's conclusion: income of 1.25 million US dollars and expenses of 1.378 million US dollars. In other words, Gatsby was living beyond his means in the splashiest way possible. To compare to the first estimate worked out by my voucher codes, then 1.378 million US dollars in 1922 dollars would be around 90 million in 2013 US dollars. So let's see. If we revamp the numbers to take the price of a mansion down to 15 million US dollars, reduce the cost of the per annum for 8 members of household staff, then the revised figure to the my voucher codes tag would be... yes, just about the same figure in the New York feature, more or less around 19 million US dollars. Voila! Either way, then, Gatsby seems quite like the extravagant spirit of the jazz as personified, with everything and everyone bright and beautiful and even a bit reckless. Everybody into the pool! Pools. I know. It's too bad we don't have a quote from the novel and actually have one. What's that? Well, found one. How hard could it be? Just open the book and pick one, voila. Yes, I guess I'll have another. Oh, what's that there? A tray of canapes? Yes, I'm happy to see them, thank you. Hello, little sandwiches. And here we have a quote from the novel picked at random. We haven't met for many years, said Daisy, her voice as matter-of-fact as it could ever be. 5 years, next November. Oh, there's a story there, I bet. I know. On a quick side note, the first edition of The Great Gatsby was sold in June 2009 by auction house Bonhams for $182,000 US, including the Bass premium. Shown above is a quick clip by bookseller Ed Books on the Gatsby cover and on judging a book by its cover. And also, a recent episode featuring Bonhams and Blue Diamonds plus the curious case of the Princely Diamond. And if that's not enough drama for you, you can also read about the woman who broke writer F. Scott Fitzgerald's heart. That's the lukewarm love story behind the novel The Great Gatsby and Other Stories. I'd say it was a tragic love story, but, well, the story's not very tragic. Evidently, she was a bit of a flighty socialite with iffy spelling skills who fell for Fitzgerald. Then again, you know, F. Scott Fitzgerald, he was a bit iffy on spelling too, so maybe it was actually a perfect match. But anyway, to continue with this epic love story, she got bored and left. That's the whole story. It's actually the 1920s version of peace out. That's slang from today, and I don't know what the equivalent of peace out would be in the jazz age. Maybe 23 skidoo, kid. I bet that's just what she said. But you know, if they'd had a love affair today, they'd just have broken up with drunk tweets on Twitter by F. Scott and J. King. And punctuated the whole thing with pics from Instagram. F. Scott broke up today. Sad. What's that? There's a bunch going on next door. Heartbroken. You know, then it toast. G. King. Sad face today. But look at my shoes. Just going to change the filter so I look super cute. It's not Romeo and Juliet. Don't know why he wrote a whole book about it when instead he could have just had a glass of champagne and called it a day. That reminds me. Excuse me? Here I am again. You know, someone fell into the pool. Oh, that was me?
And that's today's monkey business. Take care, folks. There are tepid romances and outlandish parties out there.
And yellow Rolls Royces. Wait, is that a spoiler? Maybe not. Anyway, chin chin.
Have a good time, Marcel. Just take care.
Eh bien, Jacques. You know, it's quite funny. There was a fellow here. I heard he was drinking from my shoe. Oh, that was me. Well, everybody into the pool.